just might be the tastiest food on earth. It's been around since 1400 BC, and until the 1800s, it was a beverage. What is it of which I speak? Well, chocolate, of course. Delicious, delectable, delightful chocolate. The very thought of it starts the serotonin stirring and the happy good feelings taking over. And what better way to share this royalty of foods than a tart fit for a king? Chocolate hazelnut tart with espresso cream. I'm Garret Schack, and today, that's what we're cooking on the coast. Today we're creating a chocolate hazelnut tart with espresso cream. It's perfect for dessert, for afternoon tea. Heck, it's chocolate. It's perfect for everything. Let's get started. In front of me, everything you'll need to make a tart fit for a king. Some good quality chocolate, some 35% heavy cream, and then of course, probably one of the best parts of the tart is the crust. We have some butter mixed with shortening, flour, sugar, eggs. We're going to get these things all started into our mixer here. First thing we want to do is cream our fat with our sugar. So into the bowl. There we go. Okay. And our sugar. I know it looks like a lot, but this recipe will make enough for more than one tart shell. And now the creaming. Creaming just means to bring together the butter and the sugar. We really want to get this going because we want to incorporate some air in there as well. Great, it's all starting to come together. That sugar's dissolving and mixing in with the butter. Next component, the egg. I'm going to slow this down and start adding them one at a time, being very careful not to get any shell in there. One, two. Now you might be wondering, what's the difference between a tart and a pie? Well, a tart never has a lid, and the crust is typically not as flaky. A pie dough has a really flaky crust, and that's why you want all that large chunks of fat. In this case, we're mixing it all up together really, really well. Crank that speed up. Listen to that baby purr, hey? Okay. Now just quickly before we add our flour, we're going to scrape this down. Scrape down the sides so we don't leave any behind. Okay, at this stage, vanilla bean. These little beauties are fragrant and delicious. A little goes a long way. We're going to use one whole bean here. When you're buying them in the store, try to look for the ones that are nice and moist. Because if once they dry up, it's a lot harder to scrape the seeds out. But you can see what I'm doing here. Easily those seeds come out. And look at that. That is flavor. Pure vanilla flavor right there. Straight into our bowl. That's all going to fly around in there. We'll do this side here a little bit as well. There we are. Perfect. Now, these two are full of flavor. There's still lots of beans left in there, so we don't want to discard it. At this point, we're going to use it to flavor our whipped cream. Into the cream it goes. All right. Now give it another mix, back to our mixer, and give it another mix. Now is the perfect time to start adding our flour. We don't want to dump it in all at once because what will happen? We'll be wearing the whole thing ourselves. So we're going to slow the mixer down to a reasonable speed and just start sliding it in there. There we go. A little bit lower. And then once again, higher. There we go. See, all that flour had a chance to incorporate because we didn't go too fast, so it didn't make this big cloud. We'll add a little bit more. Hopefully you can see that at home. It's really starting to come together. There. Okay, again, slow speed, and then we're gonna kick it up. The word tart actually means to torture. And it's what we're doing to our dough right now. We're torturing that dough so we get a really strong crust. A little bit at a time, it's key right here. All right, let it incorporate, slowly start increasing the speed. You can see the flour starting to come up now. Good thing we didn't have that on full blast. And we're almost there. I'm gonna add one little last touch of flour, and we'll be able to get this out into some cling film and into our fridge. It's important to let the flour rest so that it softens its glutens a little bit. And that'll make it easier to press it into our mold when we're ready. Okay, looks pretty good. Take off our whisk attachment. And now right over here. Let's grab some cling film. Now this will make enough for several doughs, so we can freeze some. It holds up really well in the freezer, which is great. There we go. Get it out of the whisk. And you'll get to see the dough as it comes out. There we are. Takes a bit of fiddling around, that's okay. We're here to get our hands dirty, okay? You can see, if you look closely in there, it's a bit soft or a bit wet to the touch, but that's okay. You can see the vanilla beans in there, how delicious those look. And that's just flavor. Just wrap this up nicely. Now continue to do that with the rest of the dough. And like I said, you can freeze it off. We're gonna pop this into the fridge and grab one that we've already made. Okay, so clear up our bench a little bit. This one's had a chance to rest. And you can see how nicely incorporated all that butter is. Doesn't it look great? The next step here, no rolling pins involved. That's the beauty of it. We're gonna take these straight into our tart shells. Pull them up here. And then we just simply put some in the middle of the shell and start pressing it into place. We get to use our hands here. This is the fun part. Just pushing each one, making sure to get it into the crevices. Again, it's really simple and quick to do here. You can work with it right from cold. Your hands will start to warm up the dough a little bit and it'll get easier to mold. Keep going, there we go. It's really important to have a fairly even consistency around so you don't have super thick parts and super thin parts. Because one, it's gonna help with the integrity of our tart and hold all that chocolate inside, and also even cooking. So not one side's burnt and the other one's still raw, right? There we go. Okay, doesn't look much like a tart shell at this point, does it? However, our trusty knife, and just run it along the edge like this. And you'll see it makes a nice flat surface. There we go. Now these bits go right into our pile. That goes on there, ready for the next one. Now, we've pre-done a few of these. Let me grab some from the fridge and I'll show you what the last step is before we fire it into the oven. Okay, so we've let them rest again. We've let that butter cool down. Now we need to do what's called docking. We're gonna use our fork and just poke a bunch of holes into the tart shell itself. There we go. We don't have to be fancy here, no making designs. That's all gonna be hidden by chocolate. What this will do though is keep that dough from puffing up in the middle and leave us lots of room to put that chocolate in there. Okay, into a 300-degree oven. It's probably gonna take about 15, 16 minutes to go, and then we'll be ready. In the meantime, we need to start working on our chocolate. Did you know the average North American eats about 1.5 pounds of this stuff every month? Unreal. What we're gonna do now is melt our chocolate. We'll set this down over a bain-marie and we'll crank up the heat. There we go. So that's just gonna gently, the steam from the water in there is gonna gently start melting that chocolate. We never wanna blast it with too much heat. And then over here, we have our cream. We're gonna bring that up to a scalding temperature. There we are. When it beeps, it's good, right? Last but not least, let's chop up a few hazelnuts because that's going to be the base for our tart shell. Just crush them with our hands like this and give them a rough chop. go. Let's do a few more. Hazelnut is the nut of the hazel and is also known as a colbert or filbert nut. Actually, Turkey, although we do grow hazelnuts here on the island, Turkey is the largest producer of hazelnuts in the world. We'll be back later in the show to pull our chocolate hazelnut tart all together. But first, right after the break, you'll want to stick around for our special guest. Welcome back to Cookin' on the Coast. We're here on location with the Dead Beats food cart. And with me, Carrie Hill. Carrie, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Thanks for having me here today.
Yeah, awesome to have you.
So, Dead Beats, what can you tell me about the cart?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's a little play on words. It kind of came from my love of zombies, and I just wanted it to kind of be fun and not take myself too seriously with a food cart, which is kind of how it is.
Yeah.
And got some great urban art on there, a little
Very
bit of graffiti, so that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah, it certainly stands out, that's for sure. It's super awesome. So, specialty dish coming out of the truck?
Yeah, I kind of do a steak sandwich. It's a little bit of a twist on the Argentinian chimichurri sauce going on a grilled steak, but kind of in almost like a Philly cheesesteak kind of sandwich. So
very cool. You mind showing me how one puts
I'd love
together?
To. Step on in.
Cool.
So you want to have some nice meat in a steak sandwich. So I basically start off with some thin sliced ribeye steak.
Very nice. Ribeye is one of my favorite steaks. Lots of nice fat in there.
Yeah, a little bit of fat, and it's still like super tender and delicious.
Perfect.
Put a little seasoning, a little salt and pepper, and garlic on there.
Garlic, eh?
Yeah, a little bit. Just, and then just a little bit of grilled onions and peppers to go with the sandwich.
What's better than beef, grilled onions, and peppers, eh?
Exactly. A little salt and pepper and garlic. Got it.
Match made in heaven for
Totally.
sure. Very nice.
Yeah, just want to kind of fry that up a little bit.
Yeah, you can smell the beef cooking with the onions and the peppers. It smells incredible.
Totally. And it's thinly sliced, so it'll cook really quickly through there.
Right.
We don't want to cook it right to well done, obviously. We want to keep the integrity of the ribeye meat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, nothing worse than that dry, leathery meat, eh? You want to leave it a little bit rare there.
Exactly. Take a bun that we get from Portofino on there.
Nice, good local bakery. Yeah, those guys do a great job. Toast it just a little bit to get a little caramelization on the bun.
Yeah, exactly. Just to kind of warm the bun through. I mean, this is almost like a play on a Philly cheesesteak kind of sandwich.
Right,
so you got that kind of soft bread, thinly sliced meat with some cheese on it. Yeah.
But you said it's got a bit of an Argentinian flair, eh?
Yeah, well, down in Argentina, it's beef and steak is really popular. I'm sure, as you know, it's the beef that comes out of there is incredible. Cool. And their traditional sauce that they put on it is a chimichurri. And first time I had it, I just thought it made the meat totally pop. And I thought, what a great condiment to put on the sandwich and just like a different twist on it, right?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. South American fusion. I love it.
Exactly. So get that about like a medium rare. And I'll get some cheese over here to melt on top.
And so you just put that right on top of the flat top as it is right here?
Absolutely.
Oh, cool. Look at that. Not shy with the cheese either. I love it.
No. Put the hat on there. Maybe a little bit of water just to melt it nice.
Creates a bit of steam underneath the hood, like underneath the lid there. Yeah, great.
Exactly. Our bun's nice and toasty and warm through.
Now, how many do you figure you sell of these a day?
During the week, I probably sell about like 15 or 20 a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
You start going to the concerts and the festivals, and they start flying out the door.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
This would be on my hit list for sure at the festival. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna put what I call chimi mayo. So it's a little bit of mayo with a little bit of the actual chimichurri sauce in it.
And so chimichurri, can you run me through that real quick? What do you think chimichurri?
Yeah, people are like, oh, is it spicy? I don't want spicy, and it's not spicy at all. It's just really flavorful. It's got a ton of fresh oregano and flat leaf parsley,
nice.
A little bit of garlic, and it's a vinegar-based sauce with olive oil in it. And so it sounds really weird, but once you have it on like a grilled meat, it really just makes it really pop.
Yeah, well, all those fresh herbs would make it taste really refreshing, right?
Exactly.
So, very cool.
Yeah. So
we gotta do the food cart dance, I think, is what we're gonna call it.
Yeah, the food cart shuffle. The shimmy shuffle.
The shimmy shuffle.
Shimmy
I love
shuffle,
it.
yeah. So yeah, we got cheese melted on there.
Look at that. That looks
gonna
fantastic.
Drop that on there. And yeah, then we're just gonna kind of
hit it with that chimichurri sauce.
The chimichurri on there just like that. Green sauce. There's your sandwich.
Oh, that looks great. Hey, would you mind if I had a huge bite of that?
Oh yeah, you can have it.
Oh, look at this. I don't even know where to start. Then where's the perfect bite?
It's got to be a little messy when it's street food.
I should go with smaller bites. You were so right about that chimichurri. Vibrant flavors, like the beef is perfectly cooked. It's super tender. Wow. Look at that cheese. Look at this. It's just stringy and awesome. Fantastic.
Awesome.
Carrie, I love it. Thanks very much for having me here today. Definitely not going to leave this behind.
Cool.
When we come back, we'll be cooking up some more delicious food on Cookin' on the Coast. Hey kids, we're back with the chocolate hazelnut tart and espresso whipped cream. We're at the part we've all been waiting for. It's time to get down to the chocolate. We have some chocolate melting over a double boiler here. You can see it's melted up really nicely, and our cream has come to a scald. We're just gonna add the two together here, being careful not to get the hazel or the vanilla beans in there. There we go. Just stir it in nicely, stop. Turn off our stove and pull this off and onto our bench. Okay. So again, stirring nicely. We want to incorporate all that chocolate. As we go, we'll see it'll come together, and we'll just add a little more cream. There we are. Slowly, slowly, slowly. It's important here to use a nice quality chocolate. However, don't use pure cacao chocolate, okay? You need something with a few sort of lecithins in there that'll help it from separating. There we go. That just means the cocoa butter comes out of the chocolate and you end up with this gloopy mess. Certainly don't want that. All right, we're almost there. Look at the color on that. We want to add a bit of Frangelico, because booze is good in everything. There we go. And we have some butter. Butter's going to give it a really nice shine. Okay, stir it up really nicely. Here it's really important not to use a whisk. You don't want to add air bubbles inside this chocolate. We want a silky chocolate tart. There we are. Make sure that butter gets completely dissolved in there. And then we can start ladling it into our tart. We have a perfectly cooked tart shell here. And you see that crust? Guess what? You're right, it's almost exactly like a shortbread cookie. In fact, if you wanted to use that dough for something else, you could make cookies out of it. It would be fantastic. There we go, nice ladle, right into the tart. Fill it right up. I'm gonna give a little more because I like chocolate. There we are. And then onto a sheet pan. Now you want to pop this into your fridge and let that set until it's completely firm. I've done that already. Let's grab some from the fridge. And there's our tart shells. Isn't that amazing? Out they come. And onto our plate. Now I'm going to show you how to garnish this up so that people will be amazed. We have some whipped cream here. But whipped cream's kind of just boring, isn't it? So, and what can we do to make this delicious? Add some espresso. We're going to grab a shot that we poured earlier from our Chateau espresso machine. There we go. We don't want to add hot liquid to this whipped cream. It'll just deflate it and separate. So we're just going to add a little bit at a time. There we go. Espresso and chocolate, another match made in heaven. Whisk it around. Just a touch more. Okay. Perfect, looks great. Whisk it up. Let's dress this plate. With a nice clean spoon, I'm just gonna dip it in some hot water and make what's called this fancy culinary term, a quenelle. Look at that, gorgeous. Let's get that out of the way. And now for a super fancy garnish that'll have your guests oohing and awing at the table, a candied hazelnut. Standing up right like that. Perfect. Check out our website later and I'll show you how to make those. And then some fresh berries, because chocolate, berries go together like peas and carrots. There we go. Adds a nice touch of color and a lightness to that dish. And there we have it, chocolate hazelnut tart with an espresso whipped cream. And now for our beverage pairing. I'm here with Kevin Neilson, the food and beverage manager at the Chateau Victoria Hotel and Suites. Kevin, thanks for coming in today. What have you got for us?
Thanks for having me here, Garrett. I heard you talking and saying that you have a dessert fit for the king, so I decided to bring you a little treat of a wine fit for a king. This is
nice.
a late harvest cropped Tokai from northeastern Hungary. This is the wine fit for kings. It's a 5 out of 6 on the sweetness level.
Ooh-wee.
This is going to be sweet, but you know what? It's going to be the perfect pairing to go with your hazelnut tart that's got a little bit of bitterness in it from the espresso.
That's right, and the dark chocolate has a bit of that bitterness, right? So
this wine gets its sweetness from a rot, actually a mold that affects the wine late in the season.
So moldy grapes.
Yeah, moldy grapes. Hey, for some reason this is actually a good thing. So this wine, actually, the sugars get concentrated in it because of the noble rot, is what they call it, the mold that attacks the grape late in the season. So we got a little glass here that we're going to try a little sip of this.
Fancy little glasses. Now, do you treat this the same way you treat a normal wine? You kind of hum and haw and look at those legs, that kind of stuff, or?
Not so much. This wine has a lot more body to it just because of the thickness, but you don't want to serve too much. It's kind of cloying. It'll be too much to serve as a whole big glass that you would normally have with dinner.
Wow, is that sweet? Delicious, though.
Wonderful.
Let's see how it tastes with this tart here.
I love it.
You want to go first, or should I?
Ladies.
No, ladies first. You're such a comedian, hey? There we go, dig in. Oh. Rich, hey? But you're right. You get a little bit of that bitterness.
Wonderful. Good tart, Garrett.
And that cuts it perfectly. Very nice choice, Kevin. Excellent choice on the wine today.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Let's finish off the rest of this tart before the cameraman gets too ahead.
Sounds like a great idea.
Check out our website where you'll find information on today's show and maybe a few surprises. I'm Garret Schack. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to savor the flavor.